Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. So, I trust you're doing very well. So, let me start by saying I want to make a solemn declaration here. I would say that it doesn't make sense to talk about the fifth industrial revolution in Africa without talking about this institution. Why am I saying that? Simply because they have become pretty much the embodiment of excellence in Africa. Just to give you an idea, the president that runs that organization right now came in 2015 and was re-elected in August 2020 by 100% of the shareholders. Some of you may be saying, we're seeing that in Africa all the time. No. Why am I saying no? Because it was 100% of the regional and non-regional shareholders. That's definitely tells you something. And on top of that, that's the first time it happened since 1964. So that just gives you an idea of how excellent this organization is. Their name is pretty much synonymous now to Africa. Oh, it makes it easy because you have Africa in their name. But still, I'm talking about obviously the African Development Bank, the AfDB. What also doesn't make sense is about talking about energy in Africa without talking about the current vice president for power, energy, climate change, and green growth. The man has more than 3 decade experience spanning all across. So the man is responsible for bringing into the continent, into the infrastructure sector, about 2 billions of investment. So, Dr. Kevin Karaoke, I'm very impressed. I've been looking at your career and I realized actually I probably need 2 days to go through your full resume from regulator to private sector to the DFI. So let me ask you a very quick question, short one. So what's your secret for so many achievements?
No, I think, Tony, it's all about focus. On a very light touch, I have passion in power. Sometimes I say it in jest that if you cut my veins, probably electrons will flow and not blood. So really, it's a question of passion. I love power, and as you've indicated, I've tried to continuously grow myself, starting from the utility, being a researcher, being a regulator, being a developer of power, and now heading the energy, climate change and green growth function of the African Development Bank. It's all about focus and my love and passion for power.
So now I want to talk about the progress that has been made on the New Deal on energy for Africa, because I don't want to be accused of favoritism here. So let me just ask that difficult question, because the New Deal was brought in to tackle Africa challenges, right? Energy challenges, and bringing a transformative partnership approach where we're having the continental people and international people coming together. So the program was launched about 5 years ago. So what progress has been made to date?
Tony, I think before we discuss progress, perhaps it would be helpful to recap what the New Deal on Energy for Africa is all about. When established in 2016, it was projected that in order to provide energy across energy access to the over 645 million people and sufficiently power businesses by 2025, that an additional 160 gigawatts of new on-grid capacity would be required. 130 new on-grid electricity connections would be required. 75 million new off-grid electricity connections would be necessary, and this would be enabled by off-grid generation, and that 130 new households would need to be provided with access to clean cooking technology. These were, and indeed remain, ambitious targets, for which the International Energy Agency projects that about 100 billion would be required to be mobilized annually for sub-Saharan Africa alone. However, rather than being disheartened by the enormity of the task, the bank is emboldened by the nobility of the goal, that is achieving universal access to energy in Africa. Further, and whilst the bank is proud to provide leadership in this regard, I need to point out that the New Deal on Energy for Africa is actually partnership driven. Is a partnership driven effort that entails collaboration with institutional partners and stakeholders to, amongst others, mobilize domestic and international capital for the energy sector. So what progress has been achieved? A recent report tracking Sustainable Development Goal number 7 paper reported that on average, more than 26 million people gained electricity access each year since 2010. In terms of its contributions, Africa Development Bank's investments in the last 5 years will establish over 3 million last mile connections and provide access to electricity to some 18 million people. It will generate 2.8 gigawatts of additional capacity, of which 2 gigawatts or 71% will be from renewable energy sources. In this regard, the standout projects are the 310 megawatt Lake Turkana wind project, which is Africa's largest wind farm, and the 510 Kwazezate solar power project in Morocco. Kwazezate is currently the world's largest concentrated solar power plant. In addition, about 55,000 kilometers of distribution lines and 6,700 transmission lines, of which 3,200 are regional interconnections, will also be established as part of the New Deal on Energy. Finally, we don't forget the people in the off-grid areas. We expect that our investments in the last 5 years will provide about 3 million people with decentralized energy through projects such as the Zola Energy pay-to-go solar home systems in Cote d'Ivoire and the Nigeria electrification project. So in a nutshell, we've made, as a bank, we made our contributions towards the New Deal on Energy to that extent. And I think by any stretch of imagination, this has been a significant and impressive achievement. Thank you.
Excellent. And as you were talking about the achievement, so the New Deal on Energy for Africa, it's very impressive because, as I say, it doesn't try to achieve universal access by 2030, by 2025, so 5 years earlier, which is actually even more impressive. And as we're talking about the objectives, definitely they're fourfold, right? We're talking about the generation, to the transmission, to the off-grid, and to clean cooking, right? So that's quite impressive. And you've set out already what has been done so far. But we shouldn't stop there. The question I want to ask you now, Dr. Kevin, what is yet left to do for those objectives to be achieved by 2025? That means only 5 years down the line.
The truth is, we have more than 540 million Africans still without access to electricity. We also have very low per capita consumption prevailing in Africa, which is the lowest amongst all the continents. I agree that a lot more could obviously be done. In my view, and as part of their deal in the partnership, remember I mentioned that this is a partnership with the various stakeholders. Our member countries need to complement the bank's ambition. And Tony, you clearly mentioned that these are truly ambitious projects being led by the bank. They need to complement the bank's ambition by packaging, bringing forth, facilitating, and expediting project development. In short, our countries must generate bankable projects by creating the enabling environment. It is for this reason that the bank is prioritizing the development and enforcement of legal and policy regulatory frameworks to attract private investment as public finance is becoming increasingly scarce. To complement the various bank projects, we provide things like guarantees, project preparation facilities, liquidity support, etc., etc. All these are aimed at de-risking projects. The idea being to crowd in investment at scale in the sector, especially private investment. Because I think I need to emphasize that there must be concerted effort to crowd in private investment, because this I believe will provide the additional capital that is required for this, what I would call humongous undertaking of meeting the New Deal on energy targets through the partnership approach. Suffice it to say that this approach also applies to off-grid electrification, where solar home systems and mini-grids portend significant potential impacts on the accelerated electricity access. Thank you.
And you say, Dr. Kevin, and that no matter how big of a job that AfDB can be doing, you can't do it alone. You need partners with you. And that was the same message that resonated with the conversation I was having with IFC. So thank you for confirming that. I don't know for you, Dr. Kevin, but it happened to me many times in my personal life, but also in my company that I run, Renewables in Africa. So sometimes you set out a very big target, very ambitious target, and you can see you're making very good progress. You can see the finish line coming, and all of a sudden you have something happening, a big event situation that challenges you. And the world is going through one of those challenging events, and this is COVID-19. It has affected all the countries. It has affected Africa, and it certainly has affected as well the AfDB. So the question is, the New Deal on Energy for Africa, has it been impacted by COVID-19, and has the plan been derailed?
COVID-19 has slowed progress off, but certainly not derailed the New Deal on Energy plans. We are keeping eyes on the ball on the New Deal on Africa, New Deal on Energy for Africa targets. Accordingly, it is for this reason that the bank, number one, tenuously established a 10 billion COVID-19 response facility to help regional member countries mitigate the impact of the pandemic on their economies, including safeguarding the sustainability of power utilities through measures such as deferment of payments and or reduction of electricity bills for small, medium enterprises and or vulnerable households. This is because, remember what I said, this is a partnership approach. We consider that utilities are key stakeholders under the New Deal on Energy for Africa. Secondly, having sort of tried to address and ensuring the sustainability of our utilities, we are finalizing various initiatives to address the COVID-19 impacts on the energy sector beyond the grid, in this case, in the mini-grid space. So in this regard, we have the Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa COVID-19 off-grid recovery, which we are financing through what we call the Sustainable Energy for Africa Fund, or SEFA, which aims to finance approximately 30 businesses that are involved in the mini-grid space and solar home systems, with a view to providing providing access to clean energy to some 3.5 million beneficiaries. We are also in the process of finalizing the establishment of a 3-year SEFA Energy for Healthcare program, which focuses on increasing sustainable energy access to healthcare facilities in countries highly vulnerable to the pandemic. What the foregoing will tell you is that despite the challenges that we face today, our aim is to build back better and indeed a greener post-COVID-19 future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Dr. Kevin. So let me just ask you my last question. So the race we're in could be assimilated to a marathon, and you are from the country of great marathon runner. I think Mr. Kipchoge, which is obviously the record man now, I'm sure, can share a word or two with you. So you know what it's all about, setting goals. That actually what's driving you. And that's what has been driving as well the AfDB. But we know this goal that we are on, the New Deal on Energy for Africa, it's on 2025. In the scale of the history of a continent, 2025 is almost like it's tomorrow, right? So clearly, we need more initiative to keep driving us moving forward. So my question to you was, what are the new initiatives that the bank is shaping for the continent?
Thank you, Tony. In addition to the projects that I've mentioned that are already under consideration, the bank is intent on focusing on a few truly transformational projects. The first of which is the Desert to Power Initiative. The Desert to Power Initiative aims to generate up to 10 gigawatts of solar power generation to supply electricity to some 250 million people, both grid and off-grid, in the 11 Sahel countries, starting from Senegal in the west to Ethiopia in the east. Already, the bank has approved the project, three projects that are part of this initiative, mainly the network extension and solar plants project under what we call the Yellen program in Burkina Faso. We've also approved a solar-powered water pumping system for irrigation in Sudan, and the Jeremiah 28 megawatt solar PV project in Chad. Another project that is of tremendous interest to the bank due to its potential development impact is the Inga 3, which is a 4,800 megawatt project in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The project, if well structured, could catalyze the development of the next 6 stages and the Grand Inga up to 42,000 megawatts. Also, another initiative that we are pursuing is that it started in 2019 when the bank hosted the Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa, which I alluded to earlier, launched what we call the Green Baseload Facility to accelerate the transition away from fossil fuels and progress towards innovative solutions that address the intermittence of wind and solar energy through storage solutions. The aim here being to create what we call the green baseload. CEFA, that the fund that I've just mentioned, is also driving the bank's mini-grid agenda, which is aimed at scaling up and accelerating mini-grid development in Africa. This program is expected to contribute to the electrification of more than 7 million households by 2030. As you can see from the foregoing, renewable energy centric investments, the bank is I beg your pardon. As you can see from the foregoing renewable energy centric investments, the bank is convinced that the future is green. I thank you, Tony.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Kevin. So what I can say is those sort of big project, big program have always sometimes eluded Africa. One of those was actually the Desert Tech project or program that was launched at the time. But obviously, it didn't work out, probably because it wasn't enough Africa-centric. Now, with those new big initiatives that you have announced, Desert to Power, that we were aware about, we covered that, by the way, in the media platform side of our company. It's a fantastic initiative. The Inga is definitely another one. And then there's maybe one that you've not mentioned, I guess, probably because probably in the work, but I've heard about the Great Green Wall that obviously the AfDB is being part of. Suffice for me to say that what I say at the beginning, and I will repeat that, the Africa Development Bank for me is the embodiment of excellence in the continent. It also reinforced the thought that I have, saying that really the continent doesn't need strong men, but strong institution. And I believe if we have more institutions like AfDB, I'm pretty much sure we will see a different Africa emerging in the next 10 years. Dr. Kevin Karaoke, it was a pleasure and a delight for me to be talking to you today. So thank you for your time, sir.
It's truly my pleasure. And I think I'll just reiterate that the Africa Development Bank must be the multilateral development bank for all Africa. We must lead that effort, and we'll be very proud to lead the accelerated energy access program in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.